won't be long. I'll be with you in a second. I'm just going to let the numbers go up whilst I have a drink and a bite of my sandwich. So just bear with me. I am here. I'm just having a snack and a drink. Hopefully allow the numbers to go up a little bit. I haven't advertised this live stream, so going to be talking about some important developments. I've been transferring all of the evidence across into the document, ready to send it out, but there's also been some important developments over the last couple of days, so I think I need to get those out on a live stream whilst I can. And you can see that they seem to be very, very worried about all of the disclosure and what's happening, and potentially making moves to secure their plan moving forward. So yeah, I'm just going to go through that with you in a minute. I'm just having a little snack, bear with me, and I shall be with you. Okay. Where are we? Hi everyone, hope you're doing really well. I'm going to be talking about Palantir a little bit, which is really important with what's going on. Let me just get my something to put that on, bear with me because it's slipping. So we're going to be talking about Palantir a little bit and how important this is, and some other evidence as well. Palantir is an American company that started in 2003, and it's linked to the NHS, which I wasn't actually aware of, so thank you very much to people that have been sending me information that has enabled me to establish some more information in relation to Palantir. It's actually linked to the defence contracts as well, and it was linked to well, Peter Mandelson was, I didn't realise this, he was somebody that was very, because I haven't really specifically gone into loads of detail about him, only his company's house records, and he was very much involved in defence contracts. Okay, so now this is very worrying, because that means obviously he's linked to Jeffrey Epstein, he's linked to CERN, he's linked to the blood of the children. So this now escalates everything that I'm talking about and supports it, and tells us that, you know, the world is literally on the brink of something either very, very good or potentially very, very bad, because these people are completely cornered. So I think either way you're looking at a judgment, okay, against these people, but potentially everyone, if people don't start doing what's right in relation to saving the children. And I'm just going to go through some of this latest evidence in relation to Palantir whilst I can. I shouldn't be on here for too long. A little bit of a summary. I was in the police for 18 years. Since 2022, I've uncovered, with the help of others, irrefutable, verifiable evidence of decades-long international government fraud. And our governments are very clearly involved in the blood of the children. I'm finding it all the way through, even over the last couple of days. Some of the bits of research, I'm finding blood. I'm finding it linking in with the child trafficking in Ghislaine Maxwell again. So it's a massive part of this. And I'm sorry to say, you know, we can't ignore it. There's a link to vampirism in all of this. It's there through the company's house records. Now, the only other option is they deliberately put that information there to make us believe there's vampirism, they're involved in the blood of the children. But, you know, why would they do that? So then you've got to say it's actually going on. And I don't mean people running around with fangs and capes and stuff, but there's definitely a connection to this whole system and the blood of the children, the blood of the innocents, harvesting of the blood. This is why I think they've got the Jeffrey Epsteins. I think that's a cover for something much more sinister. I mean, it's obviously now much more sinister, much darker than what they're even telling us on the Jeffrey Epstein files. So I suspect that they were potentially pressured into having to disclose something because they knew that the evidence was going to be coming out, and obviously they need to make you think that they're doing something about this. I can tell you now, there is nothing I have information-wise to suggest that they are doing anything about this. In fact, it appears as though they are just moving towards potentially very sinister actions against humanity and individuals. So anyway, over the last few days, I mentioned Palantir. Palantir is involved in the facial recognition cameras along with several other companies. Every single company that I've researched in relation to the facial recognition cameras are linking into the blood of the children, the crimes against humanity, the international conflicts, the terrorism, all centralized criminal network. That's every single company that I've looked at that is involved in the facial recognition cameras. And there was a court date the other day which prompted me to look into that, where there was apparently an appeal against the facial recognition cameras which failed, but that was a fake court case. Those that were actually trying to appeal them, I've already got the evidence, I'd already secured it, that they are already involved in the crimes against the children and the international fraud, or at least they're facilitating the international crimes against the children, the blood of the children. All right, anyone that's involved in this fraud now, if they're not coming forward and they're not talking about this and trying to expose it, then they are facilitating the actual torture, abuse, unaliving, blood of children, the crimes against humanity and the international conflicts and the terrorism. They're pure evil, these people now. Anyone that's not actually doing their best to save the children and trying to prevent this and expose this international government fraud, there's going to be no helping them people. All right, they are going to be facing very, very serious consequences one way or another, whether it's in this life or not. Okay, so let's look at Palantir in a little bit more detail again. As I've said, it's an American company, started in 2003, and some information over the last couple of days has been quite important. Somebody said that they are part of or linked to the NHS, so thank you very much for that, and I've actually confirmed that. But let's look at the timing of this connection with the NHS as well, which is very, very interesting, how it ties into me and my exposure and what I was doing. So let me just get to the right bit. So this was prompted by an article the other day about, as I've said, the court case. It had Policing Minister Sarah Jones saying she's really happy that it's going to be all rolled out across the country. At least 50 vans are going to be across the country, and it'll be a lot more than that, I would have thought. That's just to start with, okay? And we're going to come into a little bit more evidence that I've acquired in relation to her as well. She's ignored all of my evidence. I've sent her at least 2 copies of the evidential research document that I've completed, which is absolute proof of a criminal network. Okay, none of them are responding at all. None of the MPs, including Sarah Jones. So this article, as I said, it mentioned about the court cases, the court case and a failed appeal in relation to Palantir. The evidence suggests that those behind the technology are actually creating the crime, and therefore, why are they claiming that they're putting these cameras in place to reduce crime? It's not. All right, it's very obvious that their criminal network is what's actually fueling all of the crime that's going on, and they've even admitted this. Freemasons come forward in a video, and I suspect it's true because my evidence is all supporting it, that the Freemasons are actually causing all of the problems across society, and then they're involved in the financial sector, the law and the media, and they're controlling the information in those other 2 industries, creating the problems, and then they can defraud, exploit, victimize, and it looks like harvest the blood of the innocents by doing it. Okay, I can't ignore this blood evidence. It's just absolutely massive in all of this. And I suspect it's because that they have worked out a way that they are able to live significantly longer. Some of them, it won't be all of them. You know, some of them are probably being promised money, drugs, sex, but also potentially some extension of life depending on what their involvement in and all of this. And of course they can use, because it's running alongside with the entertainment industry, then they can use makeup to make people appear to be aged and then stage fake deaths. This is absolutely going on. Then change identities and swap people around, all right, to create the illusion that they are living around the same time as people. Now, I'm saying this with all of the evidence, but I do have to consider, because of who it's potentially looking that I may be in all of this, that they have staged all of this information and evidence for me to actually think a lot of this. But the evidence is there. So if I believe that there's a risk to children and a risk to humanity and creation, then I have to talk about those risks, and I have to act accordingly to save those people, to save the children and save creation, until I know it's not true. And the evidence is You know, this isn't just a case of, you know, having a look at a couple of companies. We're talking probably over 400,000 companies I've now looked at, and then I'm cross-referencing key parts of the research where they're coming in, whether it's be from Jeffrey Epstein, whether it be from the actual. Somebody asked me the other day, well, Gary, how do we know children are actually suffering in this? Well, they're telling us, aren't they? So I'm researching the specific cases that they're telling us that the children are being abused, and where cases of murder have been mentioned, such as the Elm Guesthouse inquiry, the Dolphin Square. You've got the Outward Bound organisation involving Jimmy Savile. You've got the deaths on Jersey, where 65 different parts of children were found in a basement. They tried covering that up. You've got the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry. You've got the Pizzagate scandal, and others as well. So what I can do, you see, is come in from those particular areas of research, and then I can verify and cross-reference the overlaps, tying in with everything else, you see, and I can find a pattern where it's all linking in to the crimes against the children, and therefore the blood of the children. And then, of course, you had the organisation, the document regarding adrenochrome, the blood of the tortured children, which linked to a company called CYM. And that research suggests an international network of blood being traded that's taken from tortured children. And then I've researched some other things. So, for example, you know, it sounds stupid, but it's relevant. The Monsters Inc. movie, which is actually, it appears where they are referencing the adrenochrome, where they're scaring the children to then take what they're claiming is to create the screams from the children to then run energy for the city in the Monsters Inc. movie. Well, that actually links into the blood of the children via my research. You've got Death Becomes Her, a movie where they were having an elixir that prevented them aging. So, you know, all of these things have to make us consider this is really going on. And if there's any chance that it's true, then of course I must do absolutely everything I can, and so should you, to actually protect the children. And you need to be willing to really come out of your comfort zone, forget about the fear about what might happen to you, and you must, I believe, if you want to avoid a judgment in all of this, then you must be doing absolutely everything you can to protect the children and following the strategy that I'm giving you based on the real evidence. Nobody else is giving you the evidence in a way that you can verify it to prove everything that's going on. Anyway, I've done a lot of talking. Let me just get to this evidence, and then this will make you hopefully realise, and you can go and verify this, you know, whilst we're talking if you want. And if you've got any questions, I'll try and keep an eye on the screen. Someone's put, wow, yeah, need to have a look at that car. Oh, that's somebody else. In Wales, Lisa also Alan Tate and the kids under his basement. Bonjour from Yorkshire. Hi, William from Yorkshire. Great to have you here. Hampstead children don't lie like that. They were telling the truth. Yeah, I've still got to be very mindful that a lot of the evidence has been positioned for me to expose, but I can't take that chance. At the moment, I've got to still think it's all real, because there's just so much of it, and we're going to be talking about a little bit more of that tonight. So, where are we? Palantir, and there's a reason I'm doing this update tonight. I've been working on the document for most of the day, as I said, trying to transfer all of the information ready to send the document out. So where are we? All right, on that bit. Okay, so Palantir, as I said the other day, appears to be another company involved in the cameras, the facial recognition cameras, and had already been identified as being linked to the digital identification plan, which would risk enslaving you all into a digital criminal network, which of course then means you're going to be struggling, that you're going to be leading into transhumanism then, where they're going to be trapping you, I would think, based on all of the evidence, into a very sinister conscious trap, okay, where I think Neuralink will end up being part of it, or similar technology, where they will enslave you, literally, your conscience, eventually, into a body that you can't control, which is basically what transhumanism would be. And this would potentially fit the prophecy of being able to wanting to seek death but not be able to find it. But I actually thought, do you know what, I wonder if this is going to end up being an inversion, a twist against them, where they're going to, instead of being trapped, consciousness being trapped in the body, trying to find death, what about they end up going into as a judgment into a place where their consciousness is trapped in a place where they are desperately trying to find life again, but they can't find it. It just made me think about that. I wonder if this is going to end up being a switch, and that was an inversion in the Revelations. I mean, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Those people that are involved in this and those people that are just ignoring it all, end up in a place where their conscience is almost in a hell-like situation, and they are, instead of seeking death, seeking life to come back to what they had. Anyway, research suggests Palantir is closely linked to Donald Trump and to Jared Kushner, who is Donald Trump's son-in-law. Now, I hadn't actually heard of him. I know I should have done until a few days ago. I've researched him. He's going straight into the criminal network, straight into the links to the crimes against the children, massively linked into it, which means, obviously, that, as I've said, the crimes against children will be tying in with Palantir and therefore everything that's going on with Palantir. The following information also supports my concerns, and this is thanks to somebody else today. They sort of pointed me in the right direction, so I did a bit of research. Research shows that Palantir Foundry is a software platform, so it's part of the Palantir Group, offered for use in commercial and civil government sectors, and has gained prominence in healthcare through deployment in the National COVID Cohort Collaboration, a federated network of electronic health records. Research using this platform generally generated extensive peer-reviewed publications and won the HIH/FASEB DataWorks Grand Prize. This is important. NHS England also used Foundry in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic to analyse the operation of the vaccination programme, because it's linked to artificial intelligence, you see. Well, artificial intelligence in itself is an inversion of creation, okay? It won't have any moral conscience. If it's being used to make decisions within society, it won't be thinking what's right and wrong. It will be doing it, okay? Because it's made by people with no moral conscience, and it's artificial. It's not real intelligence. It's not creator-given moral conscience. It's generated, programmed technology that will not be using moral conscience, because it's created by people who clearly don't have a moral conscience, for starters. And they are leading us into a world where that controls everything. So you're going to be talking about the end of everything if we don't stop this. Reading on anyway, as of 2022, the year that I started exposing the fraud, Foundry, as in Palantir Foundry, was also used for the administration of the UK Homes for Ukraine programme, for the Ukrainian conflict programme, to give caseworkers employed local authorities access to data held by the department for levelling up housing and communities and the Home Office. This is as I was making inquiries at Exbourne Manor, as I've said. Now, it's no coincidence that in February 2022, when I was living back in Exbourne Manor and I was starting to ask questions, they triggered the Ukrainian conflict deception, okay, where Vladimir Putin announced the special military operation against Ukraine. That is all a collaborative part of this criminal network and how it ties into the blood of the children. The Russian government, is linked to Exbourne Manor, where my investigations began, and is linked to Jimmy Savile because it's connected. And it's linked to the royal family, and it's linked to the JFK's family as well, which includes JFK Jr., who is connected directly to that building, who you might have seen over the last couple of days. I mean, whether they're doing it deliberately, I really don't know, but my goodness me. He went on there. So Donald Trump gave some maths in relation to some finances. You might have seen it. And it doesn't look like it's AI generated. It looks genuine. Of course, it could be, but it looks really, to me, I think it's probably genuine, and everyone's saying it is. And then JFK Jr. comes on a bit later on a different conference and starts trying to defend Donald Trump because he's getting his maths wrong. And then he gets it completely wrong. This is JFK Jr. This is on a video conference. So I've actually videoed that because I just could not believe it, how wrong they were getting this maths. It was just unbelievable. And they had time to obviously prepare for it as well. Now, whether that is deliberate to make them appear completely incompetent, I don't know. But Donald Trump was literally agreeing with him on the figures that he was saying, even though they were completely wrong. It was just, and it was so easy, anyone could tell that it was wrong. It was just absolutely mind-blowing. So whether they're doing that deliberately, I don't know, but we can presume not, I suppose. Why would they be wanting to make themselves look so incompetent? Anyway, that was, I found that quite interesting because JFK Jr., as I've said, links directly to Exbourne Manor via Jimmy Savile's property in Bournemouth, which obviously links to me. So in November 2023, as I was exposing the fraud, NHS England awarded Palantir a 7-year contract at £330 million to design and operate a federated data platform connecting patient data across England's healthcare system. Now remember, they are also connected to the facial recognition camera. So what was I saying? They're going to be potentially using this technology to target people through some sort of instant kill technology that will be integrated in it, I suspect, based on what I'm finding, and then the healthcare system will be used to cover it up. And if they have a centralized system all linking in with this, they have your medical records linking in with it as well, they'll be able to literally target people, and the NHS will then be able to say that they died from the medical issue that was already on their records, okay, because they've already got the medical record linked to it. This is very, very sinister, everybody. You've got to remember, these people now, all of the evidence suggests it's overwhelming. They are behind all international terrorism, all right? They're behind the lies that they've been feeding you about different race or ethnic groups that are behind the terrorism and skin colours to cause a risk of divide and conflict. They're behind the international drug trafficking network. This is very obvious now. There's even connections into the police, the National Police Service that they announced last year. There's a company called NPS Limited, I think it is, because they love to use their acronyms, and that goes straight in to actual names of people that have been convicted of £40 million worth of drug trafficking on that company. And now I'm finding loads of other NPS companies that I suspect will be also relating to the National Police Service. It's just unreal. And this explains why the evidence of the Russell and Company, going back for quite a few hundred years, was involved in opium smuggling from China, and that all links into the Flemings, which is back into the Freemasons, into the police, into the court processes. They're behind all of the world's problems, everybody. They really, really are. It's blatantly obvious. The only alternative is they've set all of that evidence up to actually make it seem as though they're behind everything. That's the only alternative. It's going to be one of those two things because the evidence is so now overwhelming. And remember, they are linked into Satanic Temple United Kingdom, but we're also going to be taught, which is, if you like, an inversion of moral conscience. The satanic side of things is almost avert to moral conscience. Okay, if you go and read the Church of Satan, you'll see that it's generally an aversion of the moral conscience element of things. So in November 2023, Palantir was awarded this contract with the NHS. The contract was immediately criticised by the British Medical Association, supposedly, the Doctors Association UK, and cybersecurity professionals. I suspect they know, and they're just claiming that they were contesting it so that they don't get the blame for whatever's coming. All right, I think they're all generally going to be implicated in this. The doctors are all the way through this evidence. You know, you've got 6 doctors away with Madeleine McCann at the time. You've got a doctor linked into the deaths. The father of one of the Russell family, interestingly, Russell again, isn't it? That's going to be very likely linking into the international drug trafficking trade. In the Chillenden murders in Kent with a hammer, the father of that links into the Church of Satan. He claims to have not been there at the time of the murder, and he connects into key areas of the fraud, including an atomic weapon company, very, very quickly. And that same connection to the Church of Satan from him connects to Dodi Al-Fayed, who, as you're aware, was Princess Diana's partner for not very long at all, from I think July to 1997 until her death at the end of August 1997. And it was within 2 months after her death that the original founder of the Church of Satan died. So I suspect there was some sort of infiltration, or the whole lot is positioned for me to expose it and it's all a deception. I have to consider that, but it would be wrong for me to assume that based on all of the evidence I've got. I need to protect you, or try my best to protect you, try to protect the children, and try to protect creation. Cybersecurity professionals citing concerns about the patient data, privacy, procurement transparency, and Palantir's commercial contracts with the Israel Defense Forces. Okay, so we know it's linking in with the prophetic, which is what I've been talking about, the falsified prophecies element in all of this. They're even confirming it through their own information, okay, which is obviously facilitating or supporting what I'm finding through the Companies House record. NHS England originally published the contract with Palantir in December 2023, with more than 70% of its pages redacted. It's almost like a joke, isn't it? I mean, it's so blatantly corrupt and evil. It just makes you wonder. Look, that it's so in our faces now. So they redacted 70% of the contract, which prompted legal action that resulted in its republication with partial disclosure. I mean, come on, everybody. You need to start arresting the solicitors. It's just laughable now, okay? They're telling us that they are going to get rid of most of humanity or not end all of creation themselves. It's so blatant, the corruption. In 2024, medical professionals picketed outside NHS England headquarters demanding the deal's cancellation. As of May 2025, 4 US federal agencies, including the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Health and Human Services, used the Foundry Palantir company. A link to a government Hansard debate on the 15th of April, so literally I think today or yesterday, supports the concern, or the last few days, supports the concerns supports the concerns regarding Peter Mandelson and therefore Jeffrey Epstein being linked to arranging defense contracts, of which Palantir appears to be relevant. So we've got it linked to defense contracts, i.e. weapons, facial recognition cameras, and the health records, right? Think about that. Why would you have a defense contract company linked with weapon systems involved in facial recognition? All right, supporting what I'm telling you. Now, the military and the defense organizations are also linked to the cell towers. Why would they be involved in cell towers and mobile phones? I wonder why. And the health industry. And it's all criminal, right? They've deliberately got criminal companies, which means there is no accountability and liability whatsoever. False names, false addresses, giving them the ability to murder anyone they like using this technology and completely get away with it. All right, this is now where we're heading, and it will be remotely controlled, potentially artificially intelligence controlled, which means you will never identify who is behind getting rid of people, potentially lots of people. It may not just be individuals, which I was talking about the other day. All right, and blaming it on a health issue, right, which on a bigger scale would be a virus, on a more local basis, a heart attack or a stroke, and then the health service cover it up. You've also got, so I started to talk about the doctors. Harold Shipman, the biggest serial killer in the United Kingdom, a doctor. Deborah Fleming, linked to the blood of tortured children, the murder of babies, a doctor, a CEO of the NHS, everybody. Chief Executive Officer. A link to a government, I've mentioned that bit. Ministry of Defence. Other articles suggest police are being less than open about its use of Palantir across Europe, and it appearing to be first trialled in Germany, which is significant to the criminal network and linking in with the Church of Satan. Okay, the Church of Satan was originally named in 1966 after a German knight, which links to Christianity. Okay, unbelievable, links to Christianity. Christianity is massively implicated in this. All faith groups have been infiltrated by this, and potentially even the scripture has been written specifically to integrate the blood and make you all wait and not use the moral conscience given to us by the Creator to actually step up and save the children and do the right thing, making you believe that you should wait for Jesus or the Creator to do something, or somebody else. Absolutely, you need to act, everybody. Peacefully, legally, using my strategy. There is no need for chaos. But if you do not act soon, I'm sorry to say, it looks like there will be chaos, and that will lead us into a falsified tribulation situation and potentially the end of all of creation, which I'm trying to avoid. Articles arose within 2 days of me publicising the concerns of Palantir over the last couple of days, or a couple of days ago, of me publicising the concerns of Palantir and its use in facial recognition, with the Metropolitan Police now claiming they are considering buying Palantir, the company. Okay, there's now articles claiming that the Metropolitan Police are thinking of buying Palantir. Now, I suspect if they're doing that, that's because what they're trying to do is placate the concerns and make people think, well, it's okay, the Metropolitan Police own it now. It's not the American government, it's not linked to the military. Do not fall for that, everybody. The police are linked to a doomsday cult, all right? The evidence is there. They're linked to Robert Maxwell, they're linked to Julian Assange. The Association of Chief Police Officers of the United Kingdom was set up specifically around this fraud. It's obvious now, in 1948, all right, the year after the doomsday clock began, all right? Especially the senior officers within the police. I'm praying that there's going to be some innocent police officers, but it's looking like there is not many. Most of them are going to be Freemasons, and I think most of them are compromised by the fraud, and if not, some of them, a lot of them probably, possibly, are compromised by the blood of the children. Now it's time for them, if any of them are watching this, they need to look at the evidence that I'm presenting, go and verify it, because all of your families are at risk. Even those of you that are involved in the blood element in this with the children, even those of you that are involved in the fraud but not the children element. It looks as though your entire future is at risk. I do not say this lightly. This is now of serious concern and shows the police's complicity in the criminal network, crimes against humanity and children, and supporting its link to the doomsday cult, as I've said, to lead the world into falsified prophecies. In relation to the articles of facial recognition, research shows that Sarah Ann Jones, I'd already done a lot of this research, but I'm just going to go through a bit more that I've found on her. She's the one that is the Minister for Policing that was positioned as I was continuing to expose the criminal network. One of the former ones, Chris Philp, links to kids, what's it called? Hold on. Children's Traffic Club. There's an actual company called Children's Traffic Club, linking to the crimes and the trafficking of children. And Chris Philp, one of the former police MPs, was linked to that via Brookers and Tesco. And that connects to the Israel attacks, which are where I'd identified that. The attacks on the 7th of October 2023, leading into the falsified prophecies. I'm just going to look at the comments. Yes, I'm living in a tent. I think you've known that for a while, I thought. We just need to... someone's put, we just need... I am not going to delete disclaimer, mate. Oh, you must be talking to someone else. Why are the generations of family called a family tree? I don't know. Hey, you Gary, they're already doing it. Connecting brain to tech. Fire's brain, stay gorgeous, Black Ops. You can't really know the truth. You have a physical address at the same time. You can't really know the truth and have a physical address at the same time. Where is the tent? Goodbye, good smoke. Big smoke. Goodbye. Hide from channel. Yeah, they're compromised. I gathered that he was compromised from the comments the last couple of days. Just having a look at the other comments. Hi, Empowered. I hope you're doing okay. unbelievable. Some of the people I think are on my side, and they're just showing themselves. They're just exposing themselves, and I'm having to. It's unbelievable. They're trying to get me to believe in aliens, and the evidence is so strong. And they're trying to get me to believe in what else was it? Oh, what was it they said? I can't remember. Someone's put, Jesus has said, in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. This time is now. Get right with him, as we cannot change the Pharaoh plan. Interesting, you saying that. We're going to be talking about the Pharaoh in a minute. And we're going to be talking about the sun and Ra. David Wilcox alive on board a spaceship. Please, I'm sorry. There's so much evidence that, look, people connected to the Vatican and the blood of the children and the fraud were trying to get me to convince me that there was a galactic federation and that aliens were involved in this. That is enough to prove to you it is a lie. They're part of the fraud. They're part of the deception. They're linked to the Vatican and the blood of the children, everybody. It's a lie. And anyone that keeps pushing it, I'm going to be blocking them. All right? It's obvious. And I don't, and it's not me. That I have to be focused on the truth and what the evidence shows. It's very clear that the Companies House records have the truth within it, okay, as to what's going on. Trying to decipher it is difficult sometimes, but we have to be going by that. All right, that is what the evidence is telling us. Remember, within 3 days of me sending the evidence to the World Economic Forum, the Klaus Schwab stepped back, or announced that he was stepping back as the chair. And then he resigned on the same day that the Pope died. Sam Altman, OpenAI, interviewed, talking openly, portals connecting to CERN. The portals is a lie, everybody. All right, portals is a company involved in the currency production. Sam Altman is obviously part of this. The portals is a lie, I believe, based on the evidence. Okay, there's a company called Portals who's involved in the currency production. I think they've grabbed the name from that, and they're trying to make you believe that CERN isn't going to potentially cause a tribulation event and the end of creation. Right, that's why I think they're talking about the portals. You even had people linked straight to Exborn Manor, God FM, the same companies that started Exborn Manor, where my investigation began, linked to fraud, blood of children, into the Vatican, and the other person that was interviewing, that they were interviewing, called Anthony Patch, links to Exborn Manor as well, talking about the portals, all right, regarding CERN. So that was them positioning somebody to tell the world that's what they were doing. So therefore, it's not going to be true, is it? All right, it's a cover-up. The emerging United States patent number lays bare a blood-chilling, technically possible to remotely modulate and direct cellular activities using ferritin nanoparticle compositions. No police scanner, yes, go plan, including military, not cops. No police scanner, yes, go plan, including military, not cops. The cops do know about this, certainly the heads of the police. Plain, sorry Tony, brain works faster than my thumb. They are all connected. Yep, it's a centralized criminal network. You are living under a criminal network. I can't even say it's an organized criminal network, to be honest with you guys, because one little man of insignificance in a tent is exposing the entire world's criminal network. So it's not even an organized criminal network. It's pathetic, to be honest with you. It's pathetic. They're completely exposed. They're going to be facing judgment if they don't, one way or another. If it's not in this life, it'll be the next. The only way out of this for all of these people is to come across with the truth, full disclosure of the truth, a repentance from that crime that they've been involved in, and a commitment to change. That's the only way they're going to gain spiritual salvation in this. Gary, I'm trying to share with peeps. I need to wake up. Well done, Deborah. Please do get people on here or share it. Also, I cannot Gmail you. It sends it back. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's one of the trouble. That a few people have said that. My other email address, I'll give them both now. Gmail is GaryTheTruthSetsUsFree@gmail.com. That's Gary with one R, the truth sets us free @gmail.com. That's Gary with one R, the truth sets us free @gmail.com. Okay, someone just sent me a message saying that's not them on there. Okay, that's cool. Someone else is using Big Smoke then. I've deleted them, so I hope that's not you, Gavin. I mean, that'll be the third time I've deleted somebody that we thought was you. So I hope it's not deleted you. Also, I cannot, yeah, the other email. So you've got Gary, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. And the other one is Gary, time for freedom at proton.me. That's the word for, not the number. Gary, time for freedom at proton.me. I'll say them again. Gary, the truth sets us free at gmail.com. And the other one is Gary, time for freedom at proton.me. I might say them a bit later if someone wants me to. Always have a plan, but I think World War IV is averted. World War IV? Think someone pulled rank as top chessboard flipped was checkmate. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to be getting people that are, you know, didn't know about the blood of the children, didn't know about a lot of this, didn't know about the plan to end all of creation. So all of them are probably, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. It would be amazing, wouldn't it, to see what they're all saying. But I mean, my goodness me, it's just, you can see the incompetence and just how pathetic it all is just by looking at Donald Trump and the people around him. It's just unbelievable. And I don't mean to be insulting to them, as whatever they've been involved in, it's just so incompetent. Even if they are evil, you know, world enders, just the way they're doing it, it's just unbelievable, to be honest with you. Gary, that wasn't Big Smoke. That was somebody using his name and completely different channel. Oh, okay, thanks, Carla. The screen keeps sending like a shimmer up the page. I had a lot of problems. Yeah, I think I've been seeing that every now and then. Yep, someone's put the evidence is undeniable. It's absolutely irrefutable, everybody. It's absolutely certain that we've got a criminal system. It's quite difficult to identify what's going on outside of that criminal system, but we've got a fairly good idea now, I believe, based on all of this. Gary, I sent so many messages on Neuro McFly yesterday, all deleted by YouTube. When I researched, all the people linked to their company's house accounts have been closed. That's interesting. There you go. So they're panicking, aren't they, as it's all being revealed. Gary, I can't even type on here. They are stopping me halfway through my message. Well, I've just seen that, Dawn. Use Proton. Never heard of Federation Church in an old mining town full of Masonic monuments. Gary, I've started to send your document around. I have more ideas to do this. Yeah, please do what you want with that document. You know, you'll be able to do it a lot better than I have, but it's got the information in there. You can just, if you want to put it in another format or make some sort of visually impactful way of presenting it, please do it. You know, I'm just in a tent trying to do it all on my phone. They've removed my spell check. I'm just doing the best I can to pull the evidence from the system, put the links in there, secure it offline as much as I can, and get it out to the people whilst I still can. So yeah, please, if you can think of a way to do it, you know, it's not patented. You can do what you want with that evidence. It's not, you know, I don't even want to take credit for it. You don't even need to say I did it, to be honest with you. I would, Bilderberg Group, lol, emergency meeting 33 is, I would off at Bilderberg Group, lol. You were right about the smart technology. I was looking into smart meters, 9 times lethal radiation. Yeah, it is, Carlo. It's definitely part of this. Or it's all a deception. That's something I still have to consider. And they've laid it up there for the right person to expose the whole lot because of who that person or group of people are. But I'm sorry, at the moment, as I've said, we have to presume it's real because we have to protect the children and protect humanity, just in case. Blocked from everything. Someone's put, you've been blocked from everything. Okay, I'm seeing your comments. I've sent it to all my local MPs. Yes, thank you so much, Lisa, for everything you're doing. Now this gives me hope. People like Lisa and Vanessa and some others, you know, I'm seeing now the evidence that people are doing something about this, even if it's just sending the emails. And that gives me hope. You see, that's what I need to see, because if I'm somebody that's going to be driving a change, whether it be, you know, some sort of change in the system, or even, you know, calling for a judgment situation. I mean, I know that sounds huge, but we've got to consider, if I am somebody significant in all of this, then that may be a reality that will happen in relation to this. So I don't want to be calling that to happen if there's people here that are doing the right thing. So, you know, I hope that sort of makes sense, but there's so much evidence. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the evidence, and I'll come to the comments in a minute. I'll have a little more, because I do realise that I neglect the comments sometimes. Spread it around the world anonymously. Yes, the document needs to be shared absolutely everywhere. They'll know that it's being shared. They'll probably be trying to stop it, but I don't think they'll be able to stop it completely. I think it will get slipped through the net, even if, you know, 9 out of 10 people that I'm email it to are compromised by this. I think it will slip through the net, and it already has slipped through the net. And I think that's why you're seeing all of the changes. We can rest when we have the truth, justice, and judgment. Absolutely, absolutely. You know, until they come out with the truth, full disclosure of the truth, and I'll have a very good idea whether they're giving full disclosure. We cannot rest. We cannot stop. We need that full disclosure. We need that reset to truth. You know, we always talk about a reset in all of this, and a world reset. Well, the reset needs to be of truth. And I even put that in one of my emails to all of the MPs that I sent them to. I got another patent for telepathy tech, someone's put. Okay, interesting. My thumb and keyboard operator's error. Then won't have promise to a day vet and queen. Won't have promise to a day vet and queen. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Then maybe screen with silver effects non-stop. No. I've told them I'm HR Vanessa. Vanessa sent an email. Yeah. Get copies of them documents, and I've told them I'm HRH Vanessa Emery. Won't quit. Gary, I've tried many times. They have had my laptop for over 5 years. Since then, changed my emails. All of your comments are being seen on here. But right, let's go through. I've got to the last comment, I think. Had a lot to do with rapid response. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, the rapid response, because, you know, Mikey P, I mean, they're definitely compromised by the fraud, but I have to consider that some people have infiltrated the criminal network and are actually good guys in all of this. However, you know, Mikey P was somebody, he links to my families, or not him, but he does, sorry, the research from him does. So I suspect it's him that's linking to them. But he made the threat to steal my homes. But he also told me that, he said, Gary, you do know that the pharaohs are behind this, you know, the ancient Egyptian bloodline pharaohs. And we're going to be looking at some information in a minute that is potentially supporting what he's saying. But I think you've got an infiltration of all faith groups and religions in this. I think it's very difficult to actually put our finger on who is ultimately behind this, because you've got people that have infiltrated every area of society and every network. So it's very difficult to absolutely be certain what group is ultimately behind this. It's like I say, and in some ways it's almost irrelevant, because we still have a criminal system that needs to be resolved. Whoever's behind it, it can't carry on, and we now know what needs to happen to prevent it continuing, you see. So hi, Abia Fab. Okay, so let's look at this research. So we're talking about Sarah Jones, and I'm going to give you some of the other information in relation to her that becomes relevant. Massively linked into the International Criminal Network. This is the policing minister, but there is a bit more research from the other day. She was educated in Durham University, one of the places where that links into the religious establishments with Justin Welby. And in a minute, I'm going to show you some connections to Justin Welby via the research. Jones later became the head of campaigns and housing charity Shelter, which is linked to the fraud already. During that time, Shelter won a PR award for Best Public Affairs Campaign. And this is very important, and it now becomes even more important. Remember, she's the one that is running or supporting the integration of the facial recognition cameras, okay, and she was appointed head of public affairs for the NHS Confederation. So she's also linked into the criminal network via the NHS, which is part of the blood of the children. I suspect what's happened is the healthcare systems right around the world in developed countries have been positioned to steal the blood from the innocents, to create the technological health problems using technology to then get people to go to hospitals, okay, and then take the blood from them and steal the blood from them as part of this blood harvesting in all of this. It's all the way through my research now, okay, the harvesting of the blood. And we're going to be looking at this, how it ties in with the bloodstock trade in a minute. I don't know if I've actually screenshotted that bit, but we'll have a little look. Anyway, she became the Minister of State for Police and Crime on the 6th of September 2025, the day after David Lammy was positioned as the Justice Secretary, and makes links to the Beckhams, David and Victoria Beckham, and leading up to my staged arrest. He also links to Ingenious Film Partners very quickly, which is on page 40 of the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, that links to me and connects all areas of the fraud together. Jones was Industry and Decarbonisation and Shadow Minister for Policing and Fire Service. She served as Minister of State for Industry from July 2024, which is the exact same month when I started exposing the blood of the tortured children related to the fraud. She was educated at, as I've said, in Durham University. Jones later became, I've mentioned that, shelter. She was also linked to the Olympics, okay, as the board of the Olympics, which again links back to my former school, massively links into the international criminal network and the crimes against children, the apparent crimes against children. She's also the Minister of Olympics at the time and continued as a senior civil servant under Jeremy Hunt, who is also implicated in the criminal network, former Chancellor of the Exchequer. After leaving the civil service in 2012, which is the year that CERN claims to have discovered the Higgs boson particle, and when the 2012 Olympics were in the United Kingdom, Jones worked in a series of roles in the public and private sector, including at Gatwick Airport, which is part of the international fraud. All airports, okay, it's all been centralised, all involved in money laundering, all stealing tax, none of them probably paying any taxes actually themselves, and then being able to funnel the taxes from the innocent and the victims into their lifestyle and into the criminal agenda and criminal network. This is why they've got all these criminal companies set up, all right, with no accountability and liability. She launched the all-party parliamentary group on knife crime in September 2017, being elected as the group's chair. At its launch, over 30 MPs and peers joined the group. As Labour's Shadow Minister for State of Policing and the Fire Service, Jones led Labour's response to the Police Crime Sentencing and Courts Bill in Parliament. Now, this is important. This is a new bit of evidence. So let me just read that again. She led Labour's response to the Police Crime Sentencing and Court Bill in Parliament. So she led it. Research shows that this bill was in 2022 and is an Act of Parliament of the United Kingdom. It was introduced by the Home Office and Ministry of Justice. It gives more power to the police, criminal justice and sentencing legislation, all involved in the blood of the tortured children, and it encompasses restrictions on unacceptable protests, crimes against children and sentencing limits. It was passed by the Houses of Parliament on the 26th of April 2022 and received royal assent on the 28th of April 2022, 3 days before Deborah Fleming resigned from the NHS as a Chief Executive Officer and became involved in my inquiries at Exbourne Manor. 3 days. The UK government describes the Act as the Act implements a recommendation by the Law Commission to introduce a statutory offence of public nuisance and abolish the existing common law offence. This will provide clarity to the police and, offenders, giving clear notice of what is forbidden. In other words, they realised their criminal network was starting to be exposed, so they had to tweak and make it harder for people to be able to protest against governments. Okay, this is what they did with this act. The new law also allows senior police officers to give directions and impose conditions, including beginning and end time of protests, on those organising or taking part in either procession or assembly that the police decide are necessary to prevent disorder, damage, disruption, noise, impact or intimidation. The law is controversial and led to protests under the slogan "Kill the Bill" in various British cities before it had come into force. Remember, this was created literally as I'm making key inquiries, and Deborah Fleming separates from the NHS to actually get involved in my inquiries at Exbourne Manor. She was the one that initiated my removal as a director from the company because I was continuously refusing to use forged bank documents to file our accounts and falsify the accounts for the company, and they had been produced by somebody on the Lloyd's Bank Treasury Department. All right, this is what they would have been doing for a very long time. It's worth trillions of pounds stolen from you. Trillions. They'll never be able to pay it back. Freedom of speech and right to kill the bill in various British cities before it came into force. It has received fierce criticism both locally and internationally by various politicians, human rights groups, journalists and academics due to the impact on free expression, freedom of speech and the right to protest in the United Kingdom. Amnesty International referred to the bill as a dark day for civil liberties. Well, they're also involved in the criminal network and the crimes against children, so they had to say that. It makes them seem more innocent. Measures that were rejected in this bill by the House of Lords, which gave powers such as banning individuals from protests outright, were reintroduced the following year under the Public Order Act 2023 and came into force. This act introduces new offences for locking on with a 51-week sentence. In other words, people that glue themselves or lock on in protest, there's a 51-week sentencing. Interfering with key national infrastructure, obstructing major transport works, causing serious disruption by tunnelling, greater stop and search powers to prevent disruptive protests, including without having any suspicion, right? So they're able to just search anyone without any suspicion whatsoever. So that means they can plant evidence, okay, on people. So if there's someone at a protest that they know is driving a change to protect the children, they can plant something on that person, search them without any grounds whatsoever, and then arrest that person and stage their arrest to get them away from the protest. This is the sort of level of corruption these people will be involved in, everybody. All right, this is major crime linking into satanic elements of scripture and into blood of children, terrorism, crimes against humanity on a scale that is far too sinister to even imagine, okay, according to all of the research. And serious disruption prevention orders, which can restrict people's freedom by imposing conditions on repeat offenders. The Act also includes measures to create safe access zones around abortion clinics with a radius of 150 metres. These provisions were brought into force in 2024. Now that, again, is a satanic element of this. Okay, now obviously very controversial subject, the abortions. The abortion bill came in, I think, was it 1967? I can't remember. And I've done a bit of research around it, and the organisations connect into the criminal network and back into the satanic element. So although, yes, there's a lot of people who suggest, well, you know, you need to allow abortions, it's part of a bigger agenda. Okay, it's part of a bigger agenda. They're behind the pornography around the world. They're behind the terrorism, as I've said, the drug trafficking. All right, they're behind all of the world's problems. All right, so if they introduce murder, and now remember they were trying to bring in the new bill to end lives under the forgery of the Companies House records, all right, giving them the ability to actually murder people, falsify the consent and murder people. This is all a plan to lead into the end of creation. All right, some of them won't know that a part of it. They'll just think, like, if you look at each individual thing, you'll think, okay, you know, then maybe it was for another reason. But if you look at the pornography, for example, the pornography entraps people into potentially, you know, let's say softer elements of pornography, and then deliberately escalating it into what's the word, derogatory and abusive pornography, and then leading into paedophilia, and it will then have an impact on people's personal lives. I mean, any pornography will have an impact on people's personal lives, but you know, the escalation through that sex trade, and they know that, and they're allowing it deliberately, everybody, all right? And this then creates within the human mind, okay, because through pornography, guilt becomes part of the conscious mind, okay? In people that are using pornography, they will then feel guilty, particularly if they are looking at things that are, you know, what they know is not right. And this is put there deliberately by people linked with religious organizations, right? Linking to the Vatican, right? Because it then leads us into, as I've said, the destruction of everything, the end of creation, all right? Which fits the falsified prophecies. This is all very true. And this is why somebody, so I've researched Pornhub, goes straight into the accountant for Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, where my investigation began, where the Flemings are linked to, and the Flemings are part of religious establishments. They are linked to Christian organizations, okay? Unbelievable, because they're deliberately behind all of the world's problems. So, and then you had, the other day, you had, what's his name? I don't remember his name, but somebody who's the owner of OnlyFans suddenly died. So I suspect he was watching everything that was going on. He was only very young, watching everything that was going on, and he either killed himself, I suspect, or he said, look, I need out of this. Can you give me a new identity? Say I'm dead, get rid of me, because it's all coming out now. All right, and this is why I think you're seeing the 11 scientists that supposedly died linking to space exploration. I suspect a lot of them have said, look, we need new identities. We need to get away from this, because even it's coming out now that the forgery is now proving that space exploration was always a lie as well, you see, and linking into the blood of the children, because the space exploration is a great way for them to launder money in relation to the blood of the children. And I've already linked the blood of the children into the recent NASA flight, far too much for it to be a coincidence. So of course, £4 billion or whatever it was, vast amount of money. Say that you're going on a space flight, falsify it, don't actually go in, reduce the costs, say that you've spent a vast amount of money, and then funnel the rest of the money and more through into offshore accounts, and then it comes back and it is used in the child trafficking network and the blood of the children. This is all true, everybody. I'm sorry to say, according to all of my research, it's pretty overwhelming. The only other option is, as I keep saying, it's been laid up as a deception for me to uncover it, all right, because of who I am. That's the only, it's going to be one of those two things. It's either all real or it's a deception for me to uncover it because of who I am. Which can restrict people's freedom by imposing conditions. We had this, bill came in. The timing of this will not be a coincidence, as they realised the criminal network was being exposed, and children, with the links to the children. And Companies House search shows that Jones is connected to 3 companies. Now, I've said some of this, so I'm going to get to the latest, the 3rd company, which is here. Jones also connects to Ravenshaw Developments. This is Sarah Jones, the policing and crime MP, I believe it is, who was petitioned in 2025. Connects to Ravensbourne Developments Limited, that have been incorporated on the 14th of March 2006, the year that I moved from Kent to Dorset. And it has Devonshire's solicitors on its incorporation document I've already covered earlier in my document, which links straight into the International Criminal Network. Sean McLean connects this company, Ravensbourne Developments, to 7 companies, including Maersk Logistics and Services UK Limited. Maersk, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that, Maersk, it's a Danish company. And Maersk companies have already been linked to Freshfields, and therefore the De Reyers, the Vatican, the BBC, Sweeney Todd, vampirism, the blood of the children, directly also to the Standard Steamship Owners Mutual War Risks Association Limited Company. I'll just read that to you again. So the Maersk companies connect to Freshfields. Freshfields is a solicitors company that the BBC, that has the contract for the BBC. Okay, so it links to the BBC. The royal family are connected. Okay, Freshfields is linked to Maersk via the research. Freshfields is also connected to De Reyer companies, which I identified from the murder of Jill Dando, and then linking to the Vatican. And the De Reyers linked to Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. They had 3 properties there, and Sam De Reyer was overseeing the economic crime unit of Dorset Police when I was reporting my fraud initially to them. So we have this link to Freshfields. We also have a link to Sweeney Todd, and that link to Sweeney Todd automatically creates a connection to vampirism via the creator of what was his name, Edward Lloyd, which is going to be connected in, I believe, to the Lloyd family involved in Lloyd Banks, and a Lloyd married a Fleming. And it also connects to a company called the Standard, in another bit of research that I've already done, the Standard Steamship Owners Mutual War Risks Association Limited. In other words, pretty much confirming that it is all a collaborative deception. They're all involved in the war conflict side of things, and that gives them the ability to launder the money and also take children from those international conflicts into the bloodstock trade. And you're paying for all of it, everybody. And you're also paying for your own death, all right, in all of this. And this is shown, this company, the Standard Steamship Company, was shown in the research of Lee Clegg and the World Martial Authority, who is linked to the United Nations criminal organisations that have been set up with the same companies as Exbourne Manor. Alphonse Raymond Dankis connects Ravensbourne Developments, remember what Jones is connected to Paragon Company, a Paragon company that appears to relate to Paragon Bank, shown in the research of Dr. Serial Killer Harold Shipman, and makes important connections to my former friend and colleague Guy Briscoe, who would have been positioned alongside me when I moved from Kent to Dorset, probably because of who I am. And he connects to the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry and to the Las Vegas shooting of 2017 via the Companies House records. Dankis also connects to Guinness Developments Limited, that had been incorporated as GT Maintenance Limited in March 2001, on the lead up to the World Trade Center disaster, before its name was changed for the only time in 2003, after the World Trade Center disaster. Its incorporation document shows Trowers and Hamlin, and page 4 shows a Michael Anthony Cohen connected to Barnet Housing Aid Centre Limited, making a connection to the area where the Hampstead Child Abuse Inquiry took place. He also connects to, critically, the St Mungo Community Housing Association, making direct links to the corrupted child abuse inquiry involving Justin Welby, John Smythe, and that links to the South Bank Child Abuse Inquiry as well, which was in relation to a former scout leader that was involved in crimes against children. Justin Elcombe connects Ravensbourne Developments Limited to Berkeley Homes West London Limited, and Berkeley Homes companies connect immediately to Matt Hancock and the COVID deception, as shown elsewhere in my research. And when you research Brexit, there are skin companies, okay, and right next to the skin company, I haven't got it in front of me, but I think it's a terror company. It literally says something about terror, which again I think is going to be tying in with the crimes against the children. Ian Richard Green connects Ravensbourne Development Limited to various YMCA companies, Young Men's Christian Association companies, making the important connections to the criminal network and the blood of the children. And the YMCA was founded the same year as Companies House began in 1844, which is where all of my evidence is being acquired from. I'm just going to have a look at some of the comments and then come back to the rest of the evidence. You get it, fair play, straight back. Does anyone have a list of all MPs? Oh my goodness. Police, solicitors, etc. You can easily find them. I did have a list of all 350 MPs. They then changed them. Most of them didn't reapply in 2024, or not a large number of them didn't reapply in 2024 during the elections. They're fake anyway. There's no election. And there is no democracy, everybody. So I need to redo it. But you can find emails easily for MPs. Just go online for the ones you want to search. I do plan at some point in copying them all into a contact list again. But if somebody else could do that, that would be amazing. That would be amazing if somebody could do that and put them all into a contact list and then share it with everyone. That'd be amazing. And then people can just copy and paste it. Obviously, my time is a little bit pushed trying to do all of this. The solicitors, no, I haven't got emails for them, but you can obviously find them. Just look on Google Maps for them or online. Oh, someone's mentioned that. Sorry, yeah, someone's already said. Sorry, I'm just answering other people's questions. Yeah. The world will not be destroyed by those that do evil, but by those that watch them without doing anything. Albert Einstein. Albert, you put Epstein. I presume you mean Einstein. The world will not be destroyed by those that do evil, but by those that watch them without doing anything. Yeah, I mean, this. I think the judgment will be avoided. I think that I don't know if there's going to be an actual catastrophic judgment. I'm starting to think there needs to be one. To be honest with you, if people don't start doing anything, but I don't think it's required if people do something. But like I keep saying, let me just explain why I said what I just said. So if there's a risk to all of creation, which it appears there is, by you not doing anything and them not doing anything, those that are involved in this, then I think the only right thing is that people need to be gone. We need to be taken off this earth, or at least those that aren't doing anything. And this could be the judgment situation. Now, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen because I know how people have been misled and I know people are scared to act. Some people are genuinely scared. But if there's a choice between creation and getting rid of humans, then we have to, unfortunately, choose the humans. We've got billions of other life forms on this planet. And if we are leading into transhumanism anyway, it means humanity will be potentially trapped into hell and not be able to escape anyway. If your conscience is going to be trapped into a body that you can't control, and then you're going to be harvested and abused and tortured and then murdered when, because they'll have the ability to get rid of certain individuals if they want to, then there's not going to be a life worth living anyway. So why can't the whips be found? I don't know what you mean by that. I might have missed some other questions. They choose all the leaders at the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, I've heard about the Bohemian Grove, Lisa. It's one of the things I still haven't researched. I should do. But I'm bound to find something on that. Yeah, Vanessa, there's not many people. I'm not getting... Well, I haven't checked my emails, to be honest with you. So I might have had lots of people sending emails to MPs and police, but I'm certainly not getting many messages. But I'm not speaking to a lot of people on normal messaging systems, on social media messages, because I haven't got time. And at some point, I'm going to go through all of the emails, obviously. Okay, so I've already done the research on the shopping mall that leads significant areas that I used to work at. But where was I going to go now with this next bit of evidence? Oh, here we are. This I found very interesting. This is just aside from Palantir now, so if you don't want to listen, then feel free. You don't have to stay on here. But obviously, I've already mentioned the Da Vinci Code and how relevant that is in relation to everything that's going on. So I researched Dan Brown, who was the person that wrote the books, the Da Vinci Code. And what I've found is very, very interesting. Okay, the Da Vinci Code movies are already, as I said, seeming specifically relevant to me and the criminal network being identified. The films were based on the books by Daniel Brown. Research shows Daniel Brown was born in 1964 and is an American writer. Best known for thrillers, particularly the Robert Langdon series, which is Angels and Demons, which he wrote in 2000, before the Da Vinci Code, so they did it the other way round. The Da Vinci Code in 2003, The Lost Symbol in 2009, and Inferno in 2013, Origin in 2017, and a recent one, or more recent, which I've only just found out about, The Secret of Secrets from 2025. Now, I need to do a little bit more research around this, but listen to how relevant this is. The timing of these books appear relevant to what is being established. His novels are treasure hunts that usually take place over 24-hour periods and centre on reoccurring themes of cryptography, art, and conspiracy theories. Brown has written a symphonic work titled Wild Symphony, which is supplemented by a book of the same name. The music was recorded by the Zagreb Festival Orchestra and will receive its world concert premiere by the Portsmouth Symphony Orchestra. Portsmouth is, now I don't know if it's talking about the Portsmouth in England, but if it is, that's Hampshire, which is where Deborah Fleming had been the NHS Chief Executive. And it was going to will receive its world concert premiere in 2020. On March the 30th, 2022, it was announced that Metro Goldwyn Mayer and Weed Road Pictures will turn Wild Symphony into an animated music feature film in the vein of Walt Disney's Fantasia, with Brown writing the screenplay and songs and Akiva Goldsman producing it. This is the day before Deborah Fleming resigned as an NHS Chief Executive Officer to become involved in Exborn Manor. And Disney and MGM are very relevant to all of the fraud and the criminal network, and specifically also to me with the Soylent Green movie, it seems. While on vacation in Tahiti in 1993, Brown read Sidney Sheldon's novel, The Doomsday Conspiracy. Remember, we've got the Doomsday Clock and we've got the Doomsday Cult, all massively tying into everything that's now being exposed. And this was what inspired him to become a writer of thrillers. The Doomsday Conspiracy is a thriller novel by American writer Sidney Sheldon, published in 1991, the same year that David Icke came out, said the world would be devastated by earthquakes and tsunamis. My favourite movie, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, came out. The relativistic heavy ion collider started to be built in New York, and the Russian coup took place, which links to blood as well via the Russian government. Okay, there's a connection to transfusions via what's the name, Mikhail Gorbachev and Reza Gorbachev, who were the leaders of the former Soviet Union during that coup. The story concerns an American naval officer who encounters a murderous and mysterious force and actions during the investigation in a balloon accident in the Swiss Alps. The Doomsday Clock and the Doomsday Cult, as I've said, are very relevant, and Deborah Fleming connects almost immediately to the research of Julian Assange, who is linked to a Doomsday Cult. So when you research his father, John Shipton, that name links immediately to my father-in-law's financial advisor, and then Deborah Fleming is, I think it's one or two companies away from him, and then you go one or two companies again, and then you have the Association of Police and Crime Commissioner for Dorset, David Sidgwick, there, and they link to Julian Assange via the research as well, and to CERN, and to the creator of the World Wide Web for CERN via the research. Sorry about that. Okay. Someone's put they were born not far from Bohemian Grove. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, I do need to research it. Someone's put Hillary Clinton and the epic Gilgamesh. Why did we really go to Iraq? And why was Hillary Clinton looking for the burial sites of the Nephilim? The lost symbol of Ophiuchus. 13th month calendar from an older Bible, 364 days, 28 months, 13 months, 28 days. They messed with everything. Yeah, I've heard about that. That's probably why the number 13 is relevant again then with the letter M. seems to be very relevant. The 13th letter of the alphabet M, and that ties in with a lot of stuff. 13 is a very, very relevant number in all of this. And I think it's probably stemming from Friday the 13th, which is when it seems the Grand Master of the Knights Templar was captured and then tortured, it seems, for trying to hide the bloodline of Christ. So all three of my families also linked to Julian Assange, which is going to be obviously relevant. The Robert Langdon novels are deeply engaged with Christian themes and historical fiction and have subsequently generated controversy. Brown states on his website that his books are not anti-Christian and that he is on a constant spiritual journey himself. A search for Daniel Brown and Company's house through Google, putting his date of birth, reveals Daniel Brown Limited. They had been incorporated in 2008, the same year that the Large Hadron Collider was activated for the first time. And it has Jordan's Limited on its incorporation document, connecting immediately to Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, where my investigation began. Deborah Brown is on the incorporation document and connects Daniel Brown Limited to four companies, including, is in the people record, four companies including Brown and Geeson Limited that have been incorporated as ISIS Manufacturing Limited, ISIS, on the 17th of December 1991, possibly making reference to Egyptology. And an ISIS company has already made links to the research of Julian Assange, linking with the Flemings in my research. Isis is a god, I believe, or goddess within Egyptology. The name was changed in 1996 to Brown and Geeson Distribution Limited, before its name was changed for the last time on the 26th of October 2024. It has Dorothy May Graham and Graham and Company and an address of 61 Fairview Avenue, Wigbourne, Gillingham, Kent on its incorporation document. This makes important connections throughout the criminal network. This includes to the Las Vegas shooting of 2017 via the US Defense Contract Audit Agency and the venue of the attack itself, to the research of my former colleague and friend Guy Briscoe, connected to the research of Dr. serial killer Harold Shipman and the blood of children via Ricky Dearman, to companies linked near to Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited in the research of the infiltration of the royal family and Ritsons that I had attended in Inverness to try and prevent the fraud, to the death of George Floyd, and quickly to bloodstock companies, to a Collider company from the research of Andrew McFarlane, the head of the family court, to my staged arrest and the fraudulent court case against me, to Jack Kidd, which is a link to horse racing, which would be relevant. Remember, you've got the horse racing and bloodstock trade. Jack Kidd directly to Ghislaine Maxwell, an actual record for Ghislaine Maxwell, to the Iona prophecy of the end of the world, linking to the Satanic Temple United Kingdom and the intelligence agencies, to the research of Operation Monarch, leading to Stephen Knight and Peaky Blinders' Immortal Man, in the research of Elon Musk's, to the research of Elon Musk's mother, and the research of Dan Brown, as I've said in here. The address of 61 Fairview, Wigmore, Gillingham, Kent, is close to my mother's address, and major connections to the fraud are made from her employer into the criminal network. Her employer links almost immediately to Jimmy Savile and the building linked to Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited. So you can see why I'm saying either it's all a risk or the evidence has been laid up as a deception for me to expose it. That is all from that name, all connects. So what I've done, how I verify that, is I get to a point, find the same name and same name and company that links together. Then I basically go into the document, search that company through the document, and I can see where my research started, how quickly it is from that research, and that's how I'm able to put that summary there to verify what it's all connected to. And it's not going to be a coincidence that it is connected to all of those subjects almost immediately. There's just too much. Yeah, there was a boring company that I've researched that Elon Musk purchased. He was involved actually in trying to create, according to the information, a larger Hadron Collider. And then he backtracked. He even said it might end the world. I've even secured an article by Elon Musk saying it may end the world when he was involved in doing it. All right. And then he backtracked on it. So they changed the information. He was actively involved in it. They then changed the information, but I'd already secured it in screenshots after I was exposing the evidence, because he probably thought, oh dear, it's coming out, and it's going to look like I'm actually involved in trying to end the world. Well, yeah, you're linked to it, mate. Raymond Alfred Brown connects Brown and Geeson Limited to Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders Limited in brackets that had been incorporated in July 1902. It has a forged register. Right, let this just sink in now, because this is big. Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders Limited, a criminal organisation. Well, it looks as though most car manufacturers are linked to that via the directors. All right, so it looks as though they've centralised the car manufacturers to a criminal organisation. They can launder money, not pay tax, exploit and victimise everyone through the car manufacturing companies. There are over 504 entries in the people record for that company, which is considerably more than there is in most other companies I have looked at. 504 people, all right, in the records. When you go in there, you see all different car companies, Rolls-Royce, they're all in there, all right, to a criminal organisation. So you're being exploited by them, and remember, it's all linked to the blood and the torture of the children. There are major connections to the criminal network from this, including connections to the international conflicts, drug trafficking, terrorism, and the apparent abuse, torture, and murder of children. Madeleine McCann, Albert Pike, to the Albert Pike letter to CERN, to earthquakes, and much more via this company. It seems many car manufacturers have been centralised through this company, allowing the ability to avoid tax and launder money, as I've said. Referring back to the internet search of Brown, he was born on the 22nd of June 1964 in Exeter, New Hampshire, with New Hampshire having been named after Hampshire in the south of England, and where the Flemings, where Deborah Fleming had been the NHS CEO, and where Portals, the main company that started the currency production for the world, was also founded in 1711. In 1996, Brown quit teaching to become a full-time writer. Digital Fortress was published in 1998, appearing to reference a plan for full digital currency control under the criminal network. Brown subsequently wrote Angels and Demons and Deception Point, which was released in 2000 to 2001, the year of the connected World Trade Center disaster. Brown's third novel, featuring Robert Langdon, The Lost Symbol, was released on September the 15th, 2009. This was written by, it's a novel written by him, released on the September the 15th, 2009. This was 2 days after I became a director of Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, and 2 weeks before the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales was incorporated, connecting most areas of the research to the fraud and to me. So the name of this movie was the book was The Lost Symbol. It is a thriller set in Washington, D.C. after the events of the Da Vinci Code, and relies on Freemasonry for both its recurring theme and its major characters. The story takes place in Washington, D.C. over a period of 12 hours and features the Freemasons. The book also includes many elements that made the Da Vinci Code #1 bestseller. Brown's promotional website states that puzzles hidden in the book jacket of the Da Vinci Code, including 2 references to Kryptos, sculpture, which is at the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. They give hints about the sequel. A film had been planned to be made in relation to this book, and Sony Pictures hired 3 screenwriters for the project, beginning with Stephen Knight, and then hiring Brown himself. Knight already links to key areas of the research and links directly to the Flemings, having been named as the new James Bond director from 2025. This is Stephen Knight, and it was the evidence that I got from the Monarch butterfly that led me to Stephen Knight creating Peaky Blinders, Immortal Man on Netflix. In March 2012, Danny was hired to collaborate on the adaptation for the film. This was the month before a meeting appeared to take place with Jeffrey Epstein, Stephen Hawking, and CERN scientists. In July 2013, Sony Pictures announced they would instead adapt Inferno for an October the 14th, 2016 release date, which was the month before the apparent ritual took place at CERN, which becomes relevant to Inferno. So they didn't make that movie. Interesting. They chose not to. Very interesting. But they made movies of the other two, the first two, and then Inferno in 2016. Literally after CERN had discovered the Higgs boson, a ritual appeared to take place at CERN. And then this event that we just spoke about was around the time, just before the meeting took place with Stephen Hawking and Jeffrey Epstein and CERN scientists, which was less than 3 months before CERN claims to have discovered the Higgs boson, a God particle. Was it that something happened between that time that made them realise they're not going to make this particular book into a movie for a particular reason? So it mentions Kryptos. Kryptos is a sculpture by the American artist Jim Sanborn, located in the grounds of the Central Intelligence Agency headquarters, the George Bush Center for Intelligence in Langley, Virginia. Since its dedication on November the 3rd, 1990, there has been much speculation about the meaning of the 4 encrypted messages it bears. Of these 4 messages, the first 3 have been solved, where the 4th message remains one of the most famous unsolved codes in the world. However, an article from the 16th of October 2025, 15 days after I was released from prison, says that after 35 years, the final solution to a famous puzzle called Kryptos has been found. 2 writers discovered the 4th answer to the code, hidden in the Smithsonian Institution's archives. The puzzle, a copper sculpture, engraved with 4 encoded messages, has fascinated professional and amateur cryptographers since 1990, when artist Sanborn installed it at the CIA's headquarters. The 4 encrypted messages are made up of 869 characters. The final section, K4, begins OBKR and contains 97 letters. To claim a solution, one must show how they decoded it from the ciphertext. After years of failed attempts by enthusiasts to decode K4, Sanborn was preparing to auction off the solution, expected to fetch between $300,000 and $500,000 on September the 3rd. However, he received an email from journalists, and then it names them. Oh, why can't I? Kovacs and Byrne, the journalist, found the solution after noticing in the auction listing that Sanborn's coding charts were in the Smithsonian's collection. Byrne photographed, this is interesting, Byrne, B-Y-R-N-E, that's the same spelling as Byrne Hamilton, I think, that links to the Doomsday Cult. I'll need to do a bit more research around this. This is going to be very interesting, I think. And Kovac later realised they included taped together scraps that revealed K4's original plain text. The scraps contained the previously released clues, Berlin clock and east-northeast, part of the fully decoded message. A company's house search for the lost symbol, which is the name of the book that they didn't do a movie on, reveals a company called the @ symbol. Right, so it came up. There was nothing coming up with the lost symbol. It just came up with the @ symbol, you know, that you normally use for emails. That has been incorporated on the 23rd of March 2007, less than 2 months before Madeleine McCann went missing, and it dissolved on the 1st of July 2025, which is not long before they decoded this article came out that they decoded the last message on the CIA thing. An article from the 24th of September 2025, 5 days after my arrest, includes the following. On the 4th of May 1536, now that ties in with when they decoded the thing as well, doesn't it? That was around that time. I need to do a bit more research, but I'll just read it to you anyway. It says, on the 4th of May 1536, a merchant named Francesco Lappi wrote a letter going from Seville to Rome, where he said that an amphora of wine was worth around 70 or 80 educats, using the at for amphora. That's the first example we've found of the at used in the modern sense, but it's not the oldest copy of the symbol. You can find the at in the pages of the 1375 Bulgarian manuscript, but it has no discernible meaning. It's just a flourish on the letter in the word, amen. So it has religious connotations going back to 1375, was it? 1375, the at symbol. Bulgaria makes important connections to the research of Julian Assange and the Doomsday Cult via the Company's House research. That's a shame. That next bit's too blurred. I can't read that next page. There is a bit more. Now, I'm going to do some more research on that. I think I need to actually prioritise research on that over the next day or so. So I'm going to do that tomorrow. It's looking as though that may make reference to me potentially somehow because of the timing and all of this. So, and the reason I need to do that is if I am somebody significant in this, it could change absolutely everything, and it could prove that everything is a deception against all of humanity, you see. So this is why it's important that I work on the evidence around the timings and my investigation and how it may relate to me. But anyway, on a different subject, this is interesting. On the 23rd of April 2026, which was literally, was it yesterday? Articles emerged that the Inspector General of the US Department of Justice is opening an inquiry into whether there has been a breach of the law in relation to the release of the Epstein files. In other words, have they released them in the way that they should have done? Research shows the current Inspector General of the US Department of Justice is DOJ is William M. Blyer, who was positioned in April 2026. So literally, they positioned him this month, and he's come out and he's saying he's investigating the... So what they're doing is they're removing the accountability. They're moving people around all over the place, saying they're doing things, trying to cover things up, trying to guide the, the information and the agenda in all of this. A Company's House search shows a Christopher Andre Francois Blyer. So it's not the same name, but it comes up by searching the Blyer, connected to Flavors and Colours Limited, that had been incorporated in 2003 and had a registered address in Portsmouth in Hampshire, where Deborah Fleming had been the NHS Chief Executive Officer. The company had been a criminal company, have been incorporated with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, where my investigation began. Brunswick Company Secretaries Limited is in the People Record and connects Flavours and Colours Limited to 37 companies, including the Royal Artillery Centre for Personal Development, that have been incorporated in 2005. Its incorporation document shows 17 companies, including Merlin Way, 17 Merlin Way, Chandlersford, Eastleigh in Hampshire, White and Boker of an address in Winchester, Hampshire, and page 5 shows a solicitor called John Robert Steele, connected to companies including Isle of Wight Youth Options, with the remember Deborah Fleming was the NHS Chief Executive for Isle of Wight, Hampshire and Dorset, with the word options having been added. White and Bowker nominees is also shown on the incorporation document. A separate search shows White and Bowker Nominees Limited had been incorporated in 1995, the same year as the Hackler International Advisory Board Company, linking to the intelligence agencies and linking to me via my upbringing. The incorporation document does not seem to be available, but Swift Incorporation Limited is in the People Record, the same company as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, where my investigation began. Martin John Thompson connects White and Bowker nominees to 20 companies, including Homestart Winchester, and districts that have been incorporated in 2005. Homestart Companies makes the connection to my former school, Waterman Offshore Companies, and a Knights Templar location, as well as other important connections throughout the research as shown elsewhere. The name Tomset is the same surname as somebody that was infiltrated into Exbourne Manor, linking to religious establishments, that was infiltrating me along with one of my former colleagues called Mark Steele. Not Mark Steele, Mark Lane. Joanne Tomset was her name. Richard Mark Charter connects White and Bowker nominees limited to Blake Lapthorne, Blake Morgan, that features throughout the fraud, and Marwell Wildlife, where they had been appointed in 2016 and they resigned in June 2025 as the exposure continued. The company had been incorporated in 1978, has a forged register, and has Jordan and Sons Limited on its incorporation document, linking to Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited and meaning it being a criminal organisation. William David Winslow connects Marwell Wildlife to 7 companies, including Mills and Reeves Trust Corporation, with Mills and Reeves making important connections to the apparent crimes against children, and I'll come to that a bit more, what those connections are. Winslow also connects to Beeston Hall School Trust, that had been incorporated in 1967 and dissolved in February 2026. It's looking as though, I'm clearly right in the middle of all of this, aren't I? I mean, it's blatantly all around me, all of this and everything that's going on in the world at the moment. And I don't think it's just being given to me, what's going on. I think, it could be, and everyone else here could be infiltrated. Possible. I mean, I do think the Truman movie, it seems, was likely about me, coming in from the evidence of it. That's what it's appearing like, which suggests that everyone around me are actors and staged in this. But Simon Trent Bello connects Marwell Wildlife to Anglo-Romanian Bank Limited, that had been incorporated in 1973, the year that the World Trade Center construction was complete and that the SWIFT international transaction system started to be used in the fraud. It dissolved on the 17th of July 2012, less than 2 weeks after CERN claims to have discovered the Higgs boson of God particle. Florence Mary Fagan connects Marwell Wildlife to 14 companies, including King Edward School Southampton, that connects immediately to the Treasure Island Kids Limited Company, partnership company, via a director of Polton's Properties Limited, and linking to my wife's former employer. Criminal United Nations companies that have been incorporated with the same companies as Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, and major areas of the criminal network and apparent crimes against children. John David Green connects Marwell Wildlife to Community Action Hampshire, that links to the Skinners Academy and the evidence that children are being tortured, skinned and murdered. Green also connects to the Southern and South East England Tourist Board, that also features in the research and connects directly to the Bournemouth Town Centre, which is close to Exbourne Manor as shown elsewhere. Nicholas Jonas connects Marwell Wildlife to Wessex Children's Hospital Trust, University of Portsmouth University of Portsmouth Investments Limited, that have been incorporated as M&R 606 Limited, and has Mills and Reeves on the incorporation document. These will make connections to Deborah Fleming, the former NHS CEO who got involved in Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Mills and Reeves makes important connections to the research of the death of Michael Jackson and Stuart Labbock's death in relation to Michael Barrymore, to the Lucy Faithfull Foundation, the only apparent company in the UK trying to supposedly prevent harm to children, that was established from the research of serial killers Fred and Rose West. The research of Ellen DeGeneres is connected to this, and it's linked immediately to the British Bloodstock Agency Limited, that was incorporated as M&R 547 Limited, in the research of the former Freemason Kenneth Noy, and making major connections to the criminal network. John Michael Knowles connects Marwell Wildlife to Zoo Operations Limited, that had been incorporated in 1988 and dissolved in 2023. As I escalated the exposure, it connects immediately to the fraud by Allen and Oley Allen and Overy on its incorporation document. Professor Anthony Patrick Fielding connects this company to Roslin, the Roslin Foundation, which is the organisation that was involved in the cloning, according to the research, of Dolly the sheep, and to embryology. So you can see how important this now is. Referring back to the Brunswick, I can't read this actually, it's too blurry. Because I've taken screenshots and they're an internet search for, hold on, let's go back. It connects to, referring back to, oh sorry, let's go to this bit. The search for Blyer, remember the person who's just been positioned to make the inquiry in relation to the Epstein situation, had also revealed an Amelia Amy May Marley Blyer Carathias in the search for the Blyer name, because it's got the Blyer in it, connected to another royal company. Okay, so we already had a royal connection coming in from that other name, Blyer. Now we have a connection to Royal Music Association that had been incorporated in 1904, and it has a forged register. An internet search for this name, Amelie Amy May Marie Blyer Caruthers, reveals an Amy Blyer Caruthers in an article regarding the Science Museum. But on entering the article, the name appears to have been removed from the article, suggesting they are trying to hide something. However, the name, when you search it, it has the name in the, you get the summary of the different websites. There it was, the name linking into this article of the Science Museum. But when you go into the article, and I've searched the entire article with the name, it's gone. It's gone. Just looking at the comments. He's not thinking rationally. Last night I put my name on Sadio. Deleted it. That's not the normal Musk. None of them are thinking rationally. Whichever way you look at this, none of them are thinking rationally. Even if they think they're doing something like by a deception. Let's just say everything is a deception. There is no threat to creation from CERN. There is no massive blood trafficking network. They're not thinking rationally. All right, because they're not being truthful. They're not being transparent about this. They've got a criminal financial system that allows them to launder money. That's a fact. That's obvious. And it deliberately facilitates the crimes against humanity. So, they're not thinking rationally. They're actually going to end up having eternal, I believe they're going to be eternally facing judgment over this, whichever way you look at it. And I've been giving them 4 years to come out with the truth to try and save themselves from that. But they're not doing it. And of course, they're going to end up potentially facing consequences here on Earth as well. In this world, in this life, sorry. So, it's just unreal what they're doing. I mean, even if they're thinking, oh, let's set up a massive, complicated network it could be to identify, somebody who's relevant like me or others to come forward in all of this. But even doing that is still wrong, isn't it? Why not just come up to me and say, Gary, look, it looks as though you're going to be somebody important because of this, this, and this. Okay, I wouldn't have believed it, but then they could have given me some evidence or information to prove it. It's just, whichever way you look at this, they're just completely lost, irrational. It doesn't make sense, whichever way you look at it. So, yeah, interesting times, everyone. And now we're going to see a connection to Ra from this, which is an Egyptian god, which Elon Musk, funny enough, you've been talking about him. He made a comment, didn't he, recently, in the last few months, saying that there might be a release of a new god from the pyramids or something. I don't know if any of you saw that clip with him talking about that. But yeah, he was talking about a new releasing god, an Egyptian god from the pyramids. And then around that time, there was a new tomb that they claimed had been found in the he did. There was a new tomb that they claimed they'd found on the news that I saw soon after that. So they were trying to set up some sort of new god. Now, what they could be trying to do is create a one world order, obviously, and a one world religion in all of this to fit that one world order. But I don't know. The trouble is, even if they were hoping that they could do that, which is still, creating a fake god potentially is not really the way to go, is it? Or fake creator. But they've got a criminal financial system. So through it, it's exposed their entire criminal network. So whichever way you look at this, they're going to lose. They're going to lose out in this. The only option is they take out all of humanity, or, even if they were to get rid of me now, it doesn't really matter, really. I mean, I've got to hope I can stay alive to continue exposing them all more, but it just seems ridiculous. They want us to believe CERN's either about portals or time travel. I don't think it is. I could be wrong, but there's too much information suggesting it's something else. I'd rather choose that it was all a lie than that, and that it was a deception to try and explain away some other things that they've been up to. No, it hasn't opened up. Right, I'm suspecting you're compromised in this, because that's what they said behind the criminal network. They said they positioned people in an interview. I spoke about this earlier, but you may not have been here. They positioned somebody in an interview with God TV, talking, saying CERN was going to create a portal, and they are connected straight to the company that I'm part of, or was part of, sorry. So, it seems as though that was a deception. It's possible the whole thing's a deception, and that deception is for me. I've got to seriously consider that. But at the moment, I need to keep going in thinking these threats are real to the children and to the humanity until I know and can be sure otherwise. And I think the truth will come out at some point. But so we have this name has been removed from this article. Why would it have been removed? Well, the article is dated in spring 2021, when I was living back in Exmoor Manor. It relates to Valentine Gottlieb, that appears to be a German engineer, and it mentions a Lloyd's location and specific articles by Kent-related media companies. Another article with this name appears to link Gottlieb to postal services in the Far East, starting from the 1800s, possibly meaning a link to the drug trafficking network. Now, this is a big part of all of this, because remember, the drug element in this appears to be real. So even, if they're trying to deceive in some good way, if you like, to bring about the creator or something like that, to unite humanity or whatever, they're still behind the international drug trafficking trade. Well, many people have killed themselves. Many people would have overdosed. So whichever way you look at this, they are fully neck deep in the khaki poo-poo here, everybody. This article says Gottlieb Valentine, and interestingly, and I will research this actually, I'm going to focus on some of this evidence tomorrow because I think it's become quite relevant. Pexang, in brackets after his name, Assistant Registrar, entered government service, Straits Settlements in 1880, Chief Clerk for General Post Office, Singapore, 1888, called to the bar Middle Temple, 1892. Okay, so he's linked into the bar, the temple, which means the apparent crimes against the children. Deputy Registrar of Supreme Court, Singapore. Acting Assistant Registrar of Supreme Court Magistrate in Malacca, March 1893. Also Acting Sheriff, 1898, November 1899. Assistant Registrar of Supreme Court. So he's obviously quite a significant person, and they've removed this connection from this article. The search also revealed, which is interesting and appears to be relevant, also reveals that the name had been used for a teacher's character regarding a show called Tu Collegio, a popular Italian historical reality show that has aired on RAI since January 2017, RAI. and includes episodes featuring the Olympics in Rome, the COVID outbreak, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, which we've already spoken about tonight, the World Trade Center disaster, and the dates appear relevant to things that are going on. It states that the 6th season of the show was set in 1977, which is the year in which RAI started to broadcast programs in colour for the first time. It's also when I was born, and it aired from the 26th of October. They aired the show from this series from the 26th of October 2021 to the 14th of December 2021. This is the only time that the channel RA is only shown with the RAI and nothing after it. When you research that, RAI, Radio Television Italian, commercially styled as RAI since 2000 and known until 1954 as Radio Audizione Italiani, is the National Republic Broadcasting Company of Italy, owned by the Ministry of Economy and Finance. RA operates many terrestrial and subscription television channels and radio stations. It is one of the biggest broadcasters in Europe and the biggest in Italy, competing with Mediaset. RAI broadcasts are only received in surrounding countries, received in surrounding countries, including Albania, Bosnia, Herzegovina, Croatia, France, Malta, Monaco, Montenegro, San Marino, Slovenia, Switzerland, Serbia, Romania, Tunisia, and the Vatican City, and elsewhere on paid television and some channels. FTA across Europe, including UK on the Hotbird satellite. Half of RAI's revenues come from the broadcast receiving license fees, the remainder from the sale of advertising time. So this is interesting, isn't it? So we now have this link into the Vatican and to the Rome, and the control of the information coming in from this research that I'm looking at here. In 1950, the RAI became one of the I just mentioned 1954. I mention it in a minute. In 1950, the RAI became one of the 23 founding members of the European Broadcasting Union. In 1954, the state-owned holding company Instituto per la Ricostruzione Industriale (IRI) became the sole shareholder, and URI, now renamed RAI Radio Television Italian. This is the same year, 1954, that CERN was founded. Company's House shows RAI Limited, having been incorporated in April 2003. It has Form 10 and Formations Direct on its incorporation document. Well, Formations Direct makes important connections throughout the criminal network. This includes the research of Homestart, Hampshire, which links to me, from the Chinese Prime Minister, Quang Li, linking with my former school, to the research of Johnny Depp via Sweeney Todd, to serial killers Peter Sutcliffe and Rose West, to KM Solutions UK Limited from the research of the infiltration of the royals, to the leaders of Iran, to the suspect of the London Bridge attack, to an Evergreen company in the research of the Hillsborough disaster, to the research of Rapid Response, to 3i Atlas, Comet, Rishi Sunak, to the Metropolitan Police Service, MPS, that we've already mentioned, to the cell towers via IX Wireless and linking to Gerald McCann, the Environmental Protection Agency and the banning of lead paint, to Sarah Ferguson via Lord Michelle Ian Grade and with links to the bloodstock companies, and the research of Barbara Sorry about that. Just wanted a drink. I'm Tony Montana. You F with me, you F with the best. Always tell the truth, even when I lie. Say hello to my little friend. I can connect it to the Bible, including the patterns. Connected to 0 point energy and it works. Hi Lyndon, hope you're doing okay. You've got to laugh, absolutely. Yeah, you got to. Yeah. Not quite so easy to laugh by yourself, but every now and then I do. Just have a little chuckle to myself. Oh. Right, where are we? So we've got RAI Limited. Well, let's look where this goes. It's very interesting. So you get all of these connections via that company immediately. Barbara Emery in the infiltration of the royal family. Bloodstock companies I mentioned, to International Clinic Virology Centre in the research of Anthony Kidman, who was Nicole Kidman's father. To QCC Global Limited in the research of organ harvesting. To Frame to Film Productions, leading to a Collider company in the research of Andrew McFarlane, the head of the family courts again. The research of the James Goldsmith and the moon landing. I think that's meant to say David Goldsmith actually, but or somebody else actually, but I'll look at that later. But it links to the moon landing, linking to Bloodstock agency companies again. To the research of the Lord of the Rings and Bournemouth, going back to Bournemouth. To the research of Deutsche Bank and the White House coup involving or linking to Donald Trump. As shown elsewhere, there are multiple other connections from these links. Now, this is very interesting. They're coming in from this RAI, and we're going to get to why this is possibly important, because RA, it links to Egyptology, and we're going to see a natural connection to that in a minute. So I'm Michael Rees, so we're on RAI at the moment, okay, which is tying in from this research that I've done. And Michael Rees, born 1963, is in the People Record and connects RAI Limited to Rees AI, okay, which would be RAI, Rees AI. So this is a Michael Rees, and this is AI International Limited, this company, Rees AI International Limited, that had been incorporated in 2003, and it dissolved on the 26th of January 2016. It also has Formations Direct on its incorporation document, which means it also makes those other connections. A Michael Antonio Rees, okay, exactly the same name other than the middle name, had already been connected to Switzerland and a company called Mountbatten Spencer Investments Limited, which looks as though it's the two royal family names combined into a company. And there's this was established from the research of Jim Carey, okay, that I established that company. So I expect this is the same person, and they're just using slight variations of details, linking in with RAI, linking in with the royal family. Where's this going to be leading? I think you can guess. And information suggests that this person, Michael Rees, on the 16th of September 2008, he resigned from his position at the Royal Society over what should be taught in relation to creationism, according to my research. There's an article stating he resigned from his position at the Royal Society because of a dispute over what should be taught in creationism. Okay, this was 6 days after the Large Hadron Collider had been activated in Geneva, in Switzerland, where he is connected to Switzerland. The search had also revealed for the RAI company It had also revealed RAI Group that had been incorporated in 2016, and it has 71 to 75 Shelton Street, Covent Gardens on its incorporation document. Well, this is critical because I've cross-referenced this address through my document, and it links straight to these subjects. Straight to Stephen Hervé, the judge in the inquiry into Princess Diana's death. This was the French judge. Angela Rayner, positioned as the Deputy Prime Minister in 2024, as the exposure continued. It's shown in Sweeney Todd again, the Sweeney Todd research, to paedophile, straight to paedophile Jonathan King, convicted in September 2001, the same month as the World Trade Center disaster, to Lee Clegg of the Marshall Authority, linked to the United Nations, to NATO, to missing Georgina Gasala, or Gasala, however you pronounce his name, to the Southport stabbings of 2024, to Anthony and Nicole Kidman, we've already mentioned Anthony earlier, to the Stephen Lawrence inquiry, to the threat from Directed Energy and CERN via the FCC companies, likely relating to the Future Circular Collider program, to the Doomsday Cult, to Sasha Stone via the ITNJ and linking to the CIA, to the blood of tortured children and the Vatican, to the White House Limited, which appears to link to the American government and to Deborah Fleming and the Isle of Wight, to artificial intelligence, which links to Sherborne, and everything else I'm talking about with this is very important with the artificial intelligence, to the former chair of the US President's Intelligence Advisory Board, to the research surrounding Jim Carrey again, to Angela Merkel, to York, the city of York, the research that I've done there which becomes relevant, to Deborah Fleming, linking with the Association of Police and Crime Police Chief Officers of the United Kingdom, to the research of the former MP for the area of Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited and Jimmy Savile's property, to the research of DARPA, Research and Development Organisation and weather manipulation, to the apparent death of plasma scientists, possibly relating to the blood plasma, to the research of the Artemis II space expedition, to the Galileo Foundation, which links directly to the prophecy of the popes and the Three-Eye Atlas comet, immediately to the research of Facebook, and in the research of the White House coup and Donald Trump, as shown elsewhere, and all leading to major areas of the criminal network and apparent crimes against children. So this is one letter short of Ra, R-A. Ra was an ancient Egyptian by the 5th dynasty in the 25th and 24th centuries BC. Ra had become one of the most important gods in ancient Egyptian religion, identified primarily with the moon day sun. Ra ruled in all parts of the created world, the sky, the earth, and the underworld. He was believed to have ruled as the first pharaoh of ancient Egypt, and he was the god of the sun, order, kings, and the sky. When searching the relationship to Ra and Jesus, this is the result. Ra is the Egyptian son of God, and Jesus have no direct scriptural or historical relationship. However, they are often compared through theological, mythological, and metaphysical lenses. Comparisons include both being considered divine, life-giving, and in some interpretations, sons or light-bearing figures. Ra is an ancient deity of cosmic order, while Jesus is the central figure of Christianity. A search of Ra, R-A, on Companies House reveals RA Advisory Services Limited that was incorporated on the 1st of February 2023, as I was starting to expose the fraud publicly. That's pretty much the time when I was starting to publicly expose it, when I realised that the governments and everyone else was involved in this. And it also has 71 to 75 Shelton Street, Covent Gardens attached to it. The exact same address that we just looked at with RAI, the links to all of the things that we talked about. Now, Bernard Michael Sumner connects RA Advisory Services to 230 companies, including Oxford Biotech Limited, Worldwide Renewable Energy Limited, Blockchain Research and Development Limited, London Property Bonds Limited, Hampshire Consultants PLC, Vampire Brands, Libya Invest PLC, Zoom Communications UK PLC, that was incorporated in 2011 and dissolved in 2023 as I was exposing the fraud, and makes important connections to Gates companies, which I suspect is Gates company I've seen previously, right, which will be Bill Gates links in, and to a company with a company number, not a name, that connects to the Children's Garden Party Limited, the Royal Foundation of the Prince and Princess of Wales, Ghislaine Maxwell, Israel Attacks, the Spice Girls Company, Madeleine McCann, the Crimes Against Children, and the Bloodstock Trade, and much more, via the director Julie Ann Eve and HAL nominees and other HAL companies. Now, this is pretty huge. This is pretty huge, having those massively significant connections to the name of a Israeli god, okay, that mimics or is similar to Jesus, is very, very important. Now, they are, don't forget, they're connected into the Christian organizations as well. They've also got a halal company. Remember, if you've seen my previous lives a while ago, I was talking about a halal company that connects international world leaders to halal, which is then tying in with the blood being drained from animals, tying in with the Islamic faith. Well, why would you have Benjamin Netanyahu, Donald Trump, and other world leaders who claim to have a different faith group connected to a halal company? Just doesn't make sense, really. And there you have it. It's there. So now we have this connection to Ra. And Ghislaine Maxwell. Referring back to the Royal Music Association we were looking at, Christine Ann Banks earlier connects the company to 8 companies, including the Red House Fund, that have been incorporated in 1991. Page 7 of its incorporation document shows Faber Music Limited, that had already been connected to Warner Chappell Music, linking immediately to Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and the evidence of Prince Harry having worn the skin of Madeleine McCann in his shoes at the time of Jeffrey Epstein's arrest, and major areas of the criminal network which link into the Mazzini Albert Pike letter document and to CERN and the earthquake connection as well. Red House companies also feature throughout the document, and because of the associated evidence, I have to suspect that it may relate to the location of torture of humans, and likely specifically children, because you have red rooms as well that appear to be being used for the crimes against children and humanity. Michael Fitzharding Berkeley connects Royal Music Association to 6 companies, including Royal Opera House Covent Garden Foundation, that have been incorporated in 1950, and makes the link to Jewish Community Centre UK, linking immediately to the Royals, again to Ghislaine Maxwell immediately, and to a Charles Darwin Trust organisation. So let's put this in perspective. They are all, those behind the system are connected to all religious establishments very, very quickly, including the Charles Darwin Trust, that would disprove all religions. This tells us they have no allegiance to any faith. Really, it tells us, in my mind, they don't know what to believe, and they're looking for a creator, potentially. Why would you be affiliated financially and legally to all of those different faith groups, okay, and a Charles Darwin Trust as well, which disprove all of them, the theory of evolution? Doesn't make sense. It's the only conclusion with that really can come to, they have no real belief. They are, or it's a belief that is not, they're not openly connected to. Although you do have the link to the Satanic Temple United Kingdom in this, but that was, it looks like that was staged as a deception because of the timing in that. And then you've got the timing of the apparent death of the. I think these people are desperate to find the creator, and it may be that they have been. The blood element in this we cannot ignore. We cannot ignore the blood of the children in all of this. It may be that the blood of the children, maybe they've been doing that for centuries to extend life because they didn't believe in anything. So they had no faith and they were trying to live as long as they could because they were so scared. And in doing so, they believed that through that suffering of the children, it would somehow bring the creator here. And then they created this technology that they've got that has somehow now brought potentially the creator here through moral conscience. And now they're realizing maybe they don't need to sacrifice the children anymore. I don't know. This is just me speculating. But the fact that they're connected to all of these different faiths, they're lost, isn't it? It's just like they don't know what to believe. And, that could explain that this is all about them trying to find the creator in all of this. So anyway, I've finished my evidence, so I'm going to come to any questions. If you've got any questions, please put them on there. If I haven't answered any previous ones, I've missed them, then please just put them again on there now, and I will try and answer them to the best of my knowledge. The depth of these people running this show is beyond anything we can imagine. Yeah, it's so hard to comprehend, isn't it? The level of the mess they've gotten themselves into, let alone, everyone else. I mean, it's just an absolute mess. The whole thing, it really is. There's going to have to be some consequences to this, to them. It's whichever way you look at this, it's not a good thing they're doing. Whichever way you look at this. We need the full document someone's put spell checked. Yes, yeah, I think people have been doing it, but nobody's actually. I can't spell the spell check on my thing. They've got rid of. It's on there for like a day and then it goes. Not even that. So what I will do, when I've finished the document to send out this next time, I will remove my app, reinstall it, see if I've got spell check, and try and go through and spell check it before I send it out. They're gatekeepers who decide what way humanity goes. Yeah, I don't think their gatekeepers are doing a very good job now, to be honest with you. I think it's just a complete shambles. The whole, even whatever their plan was, it's completely foiled. I think we need to fully document spell check first, because academics won't like bad spelling. Yeah, I know, but I can only do my best with it, and I will try and get it spell checked. How do you stay looking clean and healthy living in the tent, with all respect? So I go into locations and a flannel and a bit of soap. It's amazing what you can do with it. And also I go into, I've got streams I can go to as well. So it's easier than you think. And I've got a hair shaver, so I just shave my hair every now and then and charge that up. It's a powerless one. Powerless? A cordless one. Gary, must have a good tent. What flavour is it? It's I'm not going to mention the make of it because it will give away what potential tent I'm in. Is there still justice in this evil world? Gary, what are your plans for the future? I have no idea, Lyndon, at the moment. I've got to get this document done, get it sent out to as many people as I can, hope it gets to some innocent people. The strategy still needs to be the same, whichever way you look at this. People need to be making arrests even more now. Even if the threat isn't real, you still need to be making arrests. You can't keep living like this. We must bring truth. As soon as this system is removed, you'll find everything will fall into place with a new system. And I know what needs to happen with it. Yes, there's justice, but is it a war? No, I don't think there's meant to be a war, but there's possibly going to be a judgment against everybody that's not doing anything about this. But, oh, sorry to hear that, Carla. It put me in a deep state of depression, especially the John Podesta and comic ping pong. I'm sorry to hear that, Carla. It's a lot to take on. It really is. It really is so much to take on. But, the fact that it's all coming out, it's incredible, isn't it? The fact that we're now getting to the bottom of everything, And it is all to do with this system, everyone. As soon, like I said, as soon as there's a new system in place, then literally this will never happen again. You will have a system of transparency and truth. And I know exactly how. I believe I know how to do it, at least on a transitional basis. But of course, there's going to be a lot of teething issues, and it's going to take a long time to fully implement properly. But I don't even know if I'm going to have a chance to have any role in that. But it'd be nice if I do. So there's no other questions coming up, so I'm going to head off. I'm just going to scroll back, see if there's anything else I might have missed. They drink blood of children who are terrorized and scared for the adrenaline, someone's put. I said on the last live that I've got them. We could all do with people having extra copies. Yes. That's all spelling checked. 4 pod pages checked. Another 1,500 needed. Did anyone see opening ceremony of CERN? It was, yes, I did. Yeah, with the goats. With the goat heads as well. Pages. I got 500 odd, so it's enough to work with. Fed up of asking. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know. I hope you understand. I've got to get all of this evidence in there. I know it's frustrating. I know it's annoying, and trust me, I want to get it out to everyone. But I just need to get some of this key stuff in here. Vanessa's got the document. Yeah, got the former document. There's nothing in the document in relation to the, or not some. Obviously, some of the more recent stuff in it, in the one that's been sent out previously, but. Yeah, thank you very much. Someone just told me the sounds been the whole time. I wasn't saying anything interesting anyway. I was basically just saying I'm going to go soon. So sorry, I do apologise. Um, I'm going to head off. I've sort of covered everything I wanted to tonight. So thank you very much for listening. And I'm going to do some more research on some of those bits that I've spoken about to see if it becomes any more relevant around those topics. So thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourselves, and please follow the strategy. Whichever way you look at this, that strategy still needs to happen. So good. Thankfully, there's at least a few people doing emails and stuff that I'm aware of. So that's giving me some hope at least. So yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care of yourselves. All the best. Bye bye.